What's up? GERO 200 Summer 2022. All right, so this is a May 22nd lecture, Sunday. I'm setting it into motion. Again, welcome to all of you to the class. And I did send out a how to navigate the course video recently. You can find that right here in the announcements. In fact, every single one of these videos I will be sending out as an announcement. And then you can find it also posted within the course, okay? So again, here's your taskbar over here on the left-hand side. The how-to video is also posted in the taskbar. Now, I'm not going to redo all the how-to because you need to watch this how-to video and figure out things in terms of navigating this high-paced, rapid-paced course that you guys have signed up for, because you know the drill. A lot of you are trying to graduate and get it done, and some of you are just trying to knock out some units, okay? But either way, we've compressed 15 weeks into 6 weeks. So as you see in the how-to, some of the weeks have 3 groups of assignments. Some of them have 2, but it all evens out, so you get the same course that other students would be getting in fall or spring semester. All right, so what you need to do then 2-3 times a week is you need to go right in here and jump into your weekly assignments. Okay, it's very easy to follow structure in terms of how we design this. I'll be going over these, but you keep your eyes on the prize. You see, boom, 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 you have these assignment dates. You can't be late. Treat this like a job. You just get a job with Microsoft or Google, and your boss comes down and says, hey, I want this by next Tuesday, and then you have some type of Coachella excuse and you're late, your boss is just going to fire you, okay? So I want you to take this seriously. You got to stay on pace, but the cool thing is you'll get it done pretty quickly, all right? We'll go through descriptions of this stuff later on, okay? But just do highlight this, calendar it, take out your phone, and make sure you're on spot in terms of scheduling, all right? All right, so let's jump right into the topics, all right? GERO 200 weekly topics, okay? So this is all of the important information behind the scenes. Read through this, okay? It explains everything. Explains the grading, okay? Each week's discussion, remember, you got to do a primary post, and you got to answer or address your classmates' posts 3 separate times to get full credit, okay? It's the easiest way alive to lose points if you don't do the work. You do the work in this class, you get an A. It's pretty straightforward. Every single assignment has a 5-question multiple choice quiz that yeah, you can talk to your friends that are in the class about it. There's a lot of the 5 questions are oftentimes drawn from question pools of 30 to 40 questions, so it's unlikely you're going to get the same questions, okay? Alrighty, and remember, we indicate right here that everything is due Monday at 11:59 p.m. Okay, so every single week you got to get your act together, whether it's 2 sets of assignments or 3, and get it all in by the following Monday at 11:59 p.m. Not 12 midnight. Then you get points off. Okay. All right. So you can see right here, this first week, 1, 2, 3. Assignment 1, assignment 2, assignment 3. All right. So you gear up for that, and you got to get it in by the following week. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. Here we go. Let's check this out. We're going to go into this week's assignments. All right. So I already put the how-to video right here. Okay. So you've checked this out, and then you see right here. This is where I'm going to go do my rock and roll through the assignment. Okay. Now, the best strategy, I think, is to always open the reading quiz in a separate window. All right. So I can go in here and go into my Blackboard account. All right, and I'm gonna then just open up the course a second time. All right, so I'm gonna see right here, boom, awesome, and I'm gonna go straight into my weekly assignments right there. See, it's linked up. Okay, so that's the taskbar. I'm gonna go down here to my first week. Okay, and you can do this in 2 separate browsers or 2 windows within the same browser. Okay. All right, so I'm back in, but this time what I'm going to do in this window is I'm going to open up my reading quiz, okay? I'm going to hit it, I'm going to hit begin, okay? And every step of the way, whatever I choose, I'm going to save the answer. Okay. All right. So that's important. Okay. So then I'm going to go back over here to the assignment and see what's up. Okay. So what are we doing this week, guys? Let's check it out. All right. So it says right here that we want you to go through from forward through trend 5. So you'll see how this thing works out. I'm going to guide you through this, okay? But you are going to have to read through it, okay? And get the proper perspective so you can do the quiz. It'll help you also in terms of your first writing assignment, okay? And then it also will help you in terms of doing midterm 1. All right. So I just downloaded the assignment, and here it comes. Awesome. Now I want to have a little bit better time or easier time looking at this, and we're going to scroll through it. Okay. So I'm going to hit right here. And let's get on this, guys. Alrighty, so what are we doing? Forward through trend 5. All right, sounds good. Okay, so the forward is just to give you some nuts and bolts about how this report was assembled. This was a report that was put together, sponsored by our largest research funding agency. It's called the National Institutes of Health. Your tax dollars go towards this. It was in collaboration with the WHO, the World Health Organization, and another WHO-backed organization that is the most incredible assembly of data. Okay, straight up population data, a lot of disease data, okay? A lot of the COVID data you'd be interested in, we found in here, cardiovascular, diabetes, etc. So it's a lot of epidemiology. It's assembled in the cloud, and what's cool about it is you can access this data anytime and use it for whatever purpose you would ever like. So someday, if you have a job and you want to do a serious investigation, you want to go find some data that would support it, here you go, the World Data Bank, okay? This is going to be your first writing assignment too. We're gonna actually access this very same data bank that was used to write this amazing overview. It's 32 pages, but I'm gonna guide you through it, so don't worry about that, my friends, okay? Again, it was supported by, like I said, the National Institute of Health. There's a sub-branch called the National Institute on Aging that specializes in aging, okay? All righty, cool. All right, and it looks at the number of old people, country by country, so we get a global perspective. We compare, modernized, okay, countries. We also call them westernized countries, okay? We also call them developed countries, and then we also look at emerging countries in terms of what their infrastructure is like. So these would be developing countries, okay? And we look at predictions. That's the whole point of all this is someday you're going to be able to have to make predictions. So some of you are going to become politicians, business leaders, okay? And so if you know what's coming down the pike in the future, then you can make better predictions in terms of being prepared financially, economically, politically to deal with the onslaught, okay? So you can see a major focus, and that is right here. It's called age-related chronic diseases, right there, okay? It's a big deal, and so they list them all down here, okay? Problem is, you live long enough, you're at serious risk for a number of these diseases. Even when you do everything right, sadly, you're still going to have this period of life where the wheels kind of come off the bus, okay? And we're a compassionate country, we're a compassionate world, so we're going to provide resources for that, okay? Your resources, Social Security tax, Medicare tax, stuff like that, okay? Alrighty, so that's a little background on that. All right, so let's get into this, okay? So this is again, this is a quick overview, okay? A little shock and awe here, okay? Just the transition that's happening, okay? And we see, the early part of this report, 2006, 500 million people worldwide were 65 and older. So right around the corner, 8 years from now, okay, the projection is that we're going to have a billion people that are 65 and older. So that is a rapid transition, and a lot of countries are not ready for this. A lot of communities that you guys live in are not ready for this. Okay, are you ready to deal with your parents and grandparents? Okay, financially. Okay, the impact it has on you and your productivity, your immediate family. Okay, you have kids, you have grandparents and parents. It's a huge burden. Okay, and so let's make some projections. Let's get this thing figured out. Okay. Alrighty. We see that this is a big chunk, 140% increase by 2030. Okay. Alrighty. So when you go through this, okay, we just kind of look at some of the big issues. And so we see right here, we have these bullet points. Okay, it is indicated by these little red balls. Okay. Um, Overall, worldwide, the population is aging. It's doing so a lot more rapidly in some regions and some countries than it is in others. Of course, in Europe, they're way ahead of the game. These are really ancient communities, okay? And most of European countries are now dealing with having the shift and the balance to having a lot of old people. And think about it, if you have guaranteed income, we have our social security system. There are countries in Europe that have social security on rocket fuel, okay, where it's a guaranteed life pension system, and now the government is burdened with this. How are we going to pay for this? Okay, I'll tell you how. You're going to tax. Okay, alrighty. So life expectancy is increasing in almost all countries. Okay, it's happening most rapidly in the developing countries. Okay, and they're way unprepared. Okay, they just don't have the infrastructure that we have. Okay. Um, we did have a little hit in life expectancy, okay, and it was COVID, okay, and this one caught us off guard, okay. So we have all these incredible tools of vaccinations, strategies like Tamiflu to go after viruses, okay. We have the development of antibiotics to go after bacterial infections, on and on, and we were able to take a real bite out of what are called infectious or communicable disease. And then as a result, it's the long-term chronic, takes 30, 40 years, diabetes, heart disease, the non-communicable disease that were the big societal and economic burden, okay? But we took a big hit on this, on COVID, obviously. Most times, oddly, it's the infectious disease goes after the, so to speak, underexposed, uneducated immune system of young children. You develop memory cells um, all along the way. You get vaccinated for polio, and suddenly you have these immune system cells, a special class that sit in your lymph nodes your whole life. So that if you get the real polio exposure, boom, you get rid of it. Okay, but this one was a wily one. It took advantage of special inflammatory process that older people are vulnerable to, and so you saw what happened. All right, we learned from that, and hopefully we'll get better. Okay, that being said, okay, so the number of the really oldest is rising. If we keep whittling away at the things that limit lifespan, okay, we got rid of, like here in the United States, we have incredible water processing, and we got rid of parasites and bacterial infections coming from the water, okay? Down in Mexico, not so much, okay? And so they lag behind, right? And other countries like that, okay? But and then now we're curing cancer, not perfectly. We're definitely taking a huge bite out of diabetes, heart disease, things like that. People are living longer, okay? You can blow out your coronary arteries. Hey, we'll just do a bunch of coronary bypasses, on and on and on, okay? These great new drugs for treating diabetes and things like that. So people live longer, okay? Alrighty. Like I said, though, the big burden is the non-communicable diseases I was just talking about. You don't hang around somebody who has diabetes and suddenly you're infected with diabetes. No, this is a genetic predisposition, but a long lifestyle thing, okay, where you don't exercise, you eat crappy food, you're all stressed out. All those things contribute to getting these diseases. Diabetic heart disease, diabetes is the biggest risk factor for Alzheimer's disease, on and on, okay? Cancer as well. Diabetes is a huge risk factor for cancer, right? So with the growing burden of older people, okay, um, and as say you guys are future parents, and you're sitting there going, you know, yeah, I got to get a job, I'm in this really, really kind of dog eat dog modernized world of developed countries where you really need to get educated to be competitive. So you're going to delay reproduction, and then you're looking at, I don't, I have this burden of my parents and grandparents. I got my job. I'm not going to have kids, okay? Or maybe I'll have one or two, okay? There you have it, okay? So we're going to see is that populations are going to shrink in the next couple decades, especially in certain developed countries, okay? And we become more reliant than in the workplace to find workers through immigration, all right? And so these are all things you kind of have to wrap your head around. Yeah, we have kind of political trends in terms of how we're allowing immigration to come into our country. But man, if you develop this new company and you got workers, you may be looking globally to fill those positions. Okay, I was just talking about family structures. Okay, so it's unprecedented. So you can have 4 generations living at the same time if you try to have kids early. Realistically, you guys in your 20s, you should have 3 kids already. That's just the way we're designed. Maybe even 4. That's as human beings, this is what we're supposed to be doing. As members of every other aspect of the animal world, um, you know, um, Thumper in the backyard, the bunny, he's not waiting to get his career in order to start reproducing. Okay, all right. So and we're not that far. You think we are, but we're not that far removed from Thumper. All right. All righty. So um, but we had this family structure now, fewer children, okay? We're gonna have multi-generational overlap, okay? And it's a big deal. We already have conflict from that because people live so long. Guess what we do? We hold on to our homes. The homes get more and more and more value, and then suddenly, when it's your turn to buy a home, you can't afford it. Okay, so these are big concerns. All right, patterns of work and retirement are shifting. Okay, so the governments are trying to peel away and get rid of the burden of Social Security and pensions. Okay, so they're encouraging people to stay in the workplace longer. People like me need to work longer. All right, it just increases the competition at the workplace for you guys. Okay, so this is a big deal. Okay, I want to, it causes strain on health and pension systems, all this that we've been talking about. Social insurance systems, okay, like I said, that's the evolution. That's Social Security, okay. Pensions, the Italian pension system is whack, and because they offered way too much years and years ago, and now they're having to pay the price, okay. So these are all big economic challenges that we have in our country that all countries have. So, that being said, I've set it up, guys. It's now time for you to do some problem solving. All right, figure it out. Okay, like I said, in Europe, they, this all happened way long ago, so they're way ahead of the rest of us. Okay, they currently have 4 people of working age. Okay, for every older person that's paying into their pension system. All right. Well, guess what happens? More and more older people, fewer children. Okay, pretty soon by 2050, there are only going to be 2 workers paying into that same pension. All right. You do the math, okay? That means we're going to have to double the tax rate on those people that are paying into that same pension system. So there's got to be some solutions, okay? These are big challenges. All righty, very cool. Okay, so there's a huge cost if you don't wait. A huge cost if you wait and you do not plan. You guys are all business leaders, economic leaders. You got to project. Is it when you're designing your distribution system for whatever company you have, okay, your development, okay, you're thinking 5, 10, 15 years down the line, trying to make predictions so that your company grows and grows and grows. Okay, there's no different drill here. You cannot wait on this. You need to think about the future, okay? And think about medical advancement, economic development, okay? And what's going on, okay? Awesome. All right. So here's just a really cool example of you as an individual. So your second critical thinking assignment, your second paper, what we're going to do is we're going to turn you into a money manager, okay? We're going to actually have you do your own personal um, investing, okay? So a financial planner, money manager, okay? All these different terms of art. Um, that are careers for you guys. Some people are really afraid about investing, for example, in the stock market in terms of or in real estate, things like that. But we're gonna use the investment into mutual funds as an example, and you guys are gonna all do this. Okay, so here you are. Okay. So you waited, okay? You decided that you wanted to travel the world and you didn't really get your act together. So you start at 40 years of age, okay? But at 40 years of age, okay, you'll start putting $10,000 a year, okay, away into your portfolio, okay? So this would be into, we're going to learn about, it could be what's called an investment retirement account, an IRA. We're going to learn about the one you should be investing in now, and that's called a Roth IRA, okay, because it really limits your tax liability. Or when you're deciding on a job, all of a sudden the employer says, "Hey, we have a 401k system," and you're really going to think about that, okay? Because that's a lot of extra money on the table that will help you when you retire. So we'll go through all of that, okay? So you're going to put 10 grand a year in, and so this is right here a fairly conservative return on investment, 5% a year, okay? All right, so every year, and it all depends on how this interest is compounded. You're going to learn about compound interest, okay? So every year, if you have a dollar, okay, and it gains 5%, then it's that same dollar the next year is $1.05. So now you're going to have 5% interest on $1.05, and it grows and grows, and next you know, that dollar that you started with is now worth $3. Okay, so that's the concept here. So you can see here that by putting 10 grand a year in for 30 years, okay, that you'll have $700,000 by the end of that time, and that's far more than the actual principal that you've been putting in. Okay, now. Okay, some of you are saying, you know what, I'm going to get my act together earlier. I'm going to get a reasonable job at 30. You put $5,000, $5,500, $100 in, starting when you're age 30, and then retiring at the same age, you're going to accumulate the same amount. Okay, so you don't have to put as much away because guess what? Your principal started a lot earlier and it started growing and compounding and compounding. It's like a snowball where it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay, all righty. You can't wait. All right, so that's what this is all about. Again, the whole concept is the cost of waiting. This is an example of you as an individual cost of waiting, and that's what that's what we need to in terms of you guys' future careers as an investment counselor, as a money manager, to be able to get to open people's eyes up into this. Okay. All righty. Okay. Um, Right here, we talk about some economics, okay? The gross domestic product, a huge percentage of the gross domestic product is just a window. We're looking at the economic productivity of a country for that year. And what happens is a big hunk of the GDP, as indicated here in these European countries, is devoted to a negative drain of paying off these pension systems, okay? So as a result, countries are initiating change, okay? So that's what that's all about. All right, here we go. Aging population, again, this is, again, more this kind of trend, okay, that we talked about earlier. Now we're gonna look at it graphically. I'm very visual, so I love graphics, okay? So we see right here, the transition that happened, from here when I was born, yeah, dude, I am going to be 66. When I was born in 1956, society was accommodating all the young people. There weren't that the burden of having people over the 65 was not that big of an issue. People were not living as long, okay? And we were making a lot of kids, baby boom era kids, okay? And so this wave of young people society made the adaptation. What did we do? Okay, we had to build a bunch of new schools. Suddenly the schools were just too many kids going to school. Just packed classrooms. Okay, then the next wave. Okay, as we were going through the school system, then up came the California State College system, the University of California system. All of that was like, hey, we got people coming. We got this wave of people, and we got nowhere to educate them. All right, so that's just a couple of examples of kind of societal transitions. Okay, so here we're fast forwarding to the current time, and you see that there's fewer and fewer kids. You guys don't have your 4 kids yet, so the fertility is dropping. Okay, and because we're able to knock down most of the problems that used to kill us when we're young, we're living to a really ripe and older age, and so as a result, you see that's down here, your projection is that we're going to be having to accommodate kids. So I mean, kids, older people. Sorry, I'm talking kind of fast here. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I think a lot of you guys are going to be real estate developers. Okay, so I think the future is going to be in these amazing multi-generational communities. Okay, where you can live in close contact with your parents and grandparents. There'll be this kind of this basic kind of overlap in terms of caregiving, where the grandparents can help your kids when you go to school, and then as they get older, you and your kids then will be able to help them, and a lot more home delivery of health and home delivery of care, and less dependence on assisted living facilities and nursing homes. That's the future, guys. Okay, cool. So that's a big deal. Okay, now it's all about preparing, all about being ready. Okay, so we see right here, France, Sweden, Australia, the transition going. This is just if you're a data person, okay, you're just going to say, okay, let's look at our country and let's see how many years it took to go from 7% of our population being 65 or older to 14. Okay, how long did it take to double? All right, so you see France, they had all kinds of time. By 1980, that's where they were at. 14% of the population was over 65. Okay. And you see that it happened over, almost an entire century. Okay, 115 years. Okay, Sweden, they almost had an entire century. You see, U.S., we had about 70 years to reach that earmark of 14%. We did it a lot later. Okay, during more modern times. Okay, and you go down here. You see that Japan, boom. What happened in Japan? What was the difference? What? People stopped having kids. Okay, and so the population became overwhelmingly older in Japan, and they had to make some big changes. Okay, all right. So these are some of them are more modern times, 2009, 2011 here. Some of them more happened a lot longer ago. Okay, now we can compare that to developing countries that are really, in terms of the infrastructure, not ready to handle this. So we can look at Azerbaijan, Chile. Okay, yes, China. China has, obviously, they're incredibly modern. But you got to remember, there's like 1.6 billion people. So there are large segments in China that are pretty underdeveloped, and that's why they qualify. We have Jamaica, Thailand, Brazil, and you see, what do you see here? Okay, we are already there. We're adapting. These countries are getting hit by this wave, and a lot of them are not, have no idea what's going on, and that's why they come to us, right? So we actually have people that graduate from our program and travel the world, get hired, make pretty good money, helping these countries transition into this new socio-political, socio-economic world that is all about extended life expectancy. Okay, alrighty. I had a buddy that actually ran an assisted living facility here in the Aliso Viejo. He was from our program. Now is an instructor. His name is Josh Johnson, and then he was recruited by the Republic of China, and he spent, God, I think it was about 5 years, where they tripled his salary in China, and so he lived there, helped them develop communities, and then he came back home. All right, so yeah, it's a big deal, big deal. All right. So Different places have extended their life expectancies. Okay, like I said, COVID took a hit to this, but Japan is racing ahead, and there's a lot of really cool places called blue zones where they're really out there. Okay, all right. When we look at the total dynamics of our population, what do we have here? We have this shift from high to low fertility, like you guys, right? You can't afford to have kids right now, right? So you're using birth control. Okay, you're waiting on kids. Your co-instructors are a prime example of this. We were way ahead of the curve. Why? Because we were poor. Okay, so I grew up east side of LA, Monterey Park. Pretty humble. My parents were great, but they didn't have a lot of money. Okay, and in Monterey Park, my wife grew up kind of bounced all over the place and spent her prime years in a part of New Orleans called Metairie, a suburb of New Orleans. Again, she was pretty middle class. So both of us had to pay our way through college and pay our way through graduate school, had lots of loans, had to get our careers in order. Luckily, so I'm 6.5 years older than Julie, I met her when she was 20, but we waited 4.5 years to get married. And then when she was 32, 33, we had our first child. All right. So we waited 12.5 years, okay, after we met to have kids. Why? Because I felt we had to get our careers together. She felt she had to get her careers together. So she was a biologist, did hem-onc research at UCLA, hematology oncology. That's when I got my first really professional position at the Neuropsychiatric Institute at UCLA. Then I got the job at USC. She then went to USC Law School and graduated number 3 in her class, USC Law School, of 250 students in 1993. Went to work for the largest law firm in California at that point in time, Pillsbury, Madison, Sutro, and another group of set of names, Lillich, McCall, blah, blah. They're called Pillsbury. And then she did that for about 7 years, and then she went and became managing counsel of the Automobile Club. So we had a lot to juggle and then have kids, okay? And so that's what it's all about, all right? So we're having this steady, so we're part of the low fertility part, long story, okay? Steady increase in life expectancy, okay? Right now, when you guys were born, you had this huge life expectancy of about 76 years, and it's going up and up and up and up, okay? Expected to grow into much older communities. And why did this happen? Okay, we had this big shift where things that used to take out big segments of the population, okay, like I said, from dirty water, okay, from airborne infections like the Rona, okay, we were able to knock the crap out of these. We learned a lot from this, sadly. I know it was a burden on you guys. The last couple of years, science has learned quite a bit. We're going to be, better equipped for a similar type phenomenon. We're not out of the woods. People are still dying from the coronavirus right and left right now. But yeah, prior to that, this pandemic, we did a pretty good job of reducing death from infectious disease, parasites, and things like that. And so became the chronic diseases of aging that would take us out, and also became the financial burden of our country. Sorry, I had a graham cracker earlier. All right. Alrighty. So we can look at these different countries, okay, and look at their life expectancies. This is the U.S., okay, and it just all depends on when they were drawing the data. So this was comparing turn of the century, 1901 to 2003, so 2 different turn of the century dates. The way you look at this, so everybody that was born in 1901, or everybody that was born in 2003, we got 100% of us that were born, okay? How many of us lived to age 10, okay? You see, back in the 1900s, boom, there was a 20% hit that didn't even make it to age 10. Why? Because they got bacterial infections, viral infections, parasitic infections, stuff like that, okay? Not so much here. Why? Because science moved us forward. Here maybe 1-2%, really more like 1% in 2003 died. Okay, and there are a lot of other things that took us out back in the day. Right here, you see that? Okay, but you see that science moved us forward. Okay, people live and live and live and live, and so what's happening then is in 2003, you see, then you hit this high risk area for these non-communicable diseases of aging, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's down here have taken you out, okay? So you see then the population right here, we go, uh-oh, something's taking us out. So now only 80% of us are left behind at age 70. Now we're here at the 50% line. You see over here, 50% of the people were dead that were born in that 1900 era right here by about age 60. That's how you interpret that, all right? So these are big transitions. You see these big increases in life expectancy. Going from 1840 to 2000, another data set that looks at, you see the biggest increases happening in women, which is awesome, okay? For a lot of different reasons, okay? Um, women suffer from a lot of the non-communicable diseases of aging when they, after they go through menopause, and there's new strategies that help women out in that way, all right? Okay, so we've gotten rid of these horrible infectious diseases, sort of, not a good last 2 years, okay? But we've done a pretty good job. So the oldest old is becoming more and more numerous. All right, now it's time to put on your thinking cap, guys. You have to prepare, all right? You're running a business, you're running a local community, you're running our federal government, all right? I'm going to retire. I can retire right now, start drawing Social Security, and I can live till I'm 100. That's a lot of money that you're going to have to pay into through your tax dollars. Okay, it's not like all that money that I put into the Social Security system is sitting there in a bank account just growing on its own. No. What's happening is we pay into it and we take it out immediately. Okay, so every dollar that I put in the Social Security system is paying some guy who's 85 getting his Social Security right now, okay? It's not there waiting for me, and the issue is it's very volatile in terms of whether or not we have enough money in there to pay the people that are drawing from it right now, all right? So we got to do something about this, all right? Because it's covering a much longer period of life. Healthcare costs, that is the biggest financial burden, okay? It's because our healthcare system is good, and that we have the opportunity, if you have enough money, to get your own insurance and get the best medicine you can, et cetera, et cetera. But the consequences of that is also that we don't have a tight control on costs. Okay, it's really kind of it's a financial model, and so the rich get richer. So if insurance companies are willing to pay more money, doctors can get more money, medical centers can get more money, on and on and on, and then that limits healthcare delivery to the poor. Okay, anyways, that's a big political hot topic. All right, intergenerational relationships. Okay, so back in the day, you didn't have to worry about your parents or grandparents because they were going to die off and you can live your own life. Okay, but now you have this kind of family piety, this social emotional burden of, God, I got to look out for my parents too. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Okay. And they're sitting there also going, hey, I got to look out for you, financially. And if suddenly all their money gets sucked away into healthcare costs, then how can they help you? And so these are all these dynamics, okay? Bottom line, a number of centenarians, octogenarians, 90-year-old arians, it's all going to skyrocket, okay? All righty, very cool, all right? Okay, so then this is a lot of verbiage here that goes through each of the countries. We can see, boom, the shock and awe here, going from 2005 to 2030. Again, these are all projections, and they use, again, the World in Data, which is an amazing data set to make these projections. And you see, which groups show on a percentile basis, the biggest increase in our population, okay? Obviously, there aren't a ton of centenarians, but on a percentile basis, you see these long-lived people are starting to, are gonna go up and up and up and up and up, and you're gonna have to deal with that. You're gonna have to deal with that, guys. All right. So what is the cost, okay? I keep talking about diseases, all right? Non-communicable diseases, heart disease, cancer, diabetes, okay? All right, so there's this big shift in that versus infectious disease and parasites. We had a huge cost though, because hey, we had a novel infectious disease this year, and so you know how many billions of dollars were thrown at COVID? It's mind-numbing. Okay, alrighty. But that being said, we're going to be throwing a lot of money at cancer, diabetes, and heart disease and Alzheimer's. Okay. All right, so when we look at this burden, okay, of countries, okay, we see injuries here as a cause of disease. We see non-communicable diseases, the Rona, okay, so flu virus, okay, hepatitis, okay, bacterial infections, okay, so on and on and on. Okay, so those are non-communicable. Those are the green ones, the communicable diseases. All right, nutrition contributes to that. Okay, and then you have these diseases of aging. Non-communicable means it doesn't communicate it or infect somebody else. Okay, so cancer, diabetes, stuff like that. All right, so we come back up here and we see the green meanie, all right, right here. All right, that's the communicable infectious disease. We're looking right here, low to middle income countries in 2002, 2030. You see it's still a huge issue, all right? So a lot of resources have to be thrown at dealing with that, okay? It's getting better. So you see that they start emerging into this situation right here, okay? They still got issues with lots of road accidents and infrastructure and stuff like that. So accidents, okay? Here is the US, okay? All right, I'm a high income country and we're already here at 2002 having our economic spectrum dominated by cancer, diabetes, heart disease, and Alzheimer's, these non-communicable diseases. So this is this blue color here. Not so much the infectious color. 2030 is supposed to be even less, but we did take a hit with the coronavirus this year. So awesome. Okay. Next. All right. Aging and population decline. Okay. So what's happening? I keep telling you guys you should have kids. Where are your kids? You didn't do it. Okay. So now what we have is the balance shifting to having less kids. That's this elbow right here. Okay. Watch out. Less kids. And then up here, the dynamics on a percentile basis, more and more older people, because we keep fixing things so people live forever, okay? So this is unprecedented, and so we're gonna have to deal with that, okay? We're gonna still have population growth in some countries, but you can see right here that some countries are experiencing major population decline, okay? If you're a young person and you got your whereabouts, get out of Russia, okay? And that's exactly what's happening, okay? Japan, okay, became so competitive financially to succeed that people just said, you know, I got to go to school, I got to get a job, but kind of like what John and Julie did, and next thing you know, no kids, okay? Ukraine, it just makes me sad to even look at that, the indication that of Ukraine and what's going on. South Africa, Germany, on and on and on and on and on. People still like living here because, hey, it's the Mediterranean, you know, it's cool, right? But you see there's immigration here, okay? Let's look at, you know, our friend Russia up there. You know, what happened, what's, you know, projected to happen from 2006 to 2030. In fact, with the war that's going on, this is going to accelerate, okay? So we see this is negative. This is the loss of people in these age groups from 0 to 4 to 55. People are getting the hell out of there, okay? You see over here, people that are limited because they're older, okay? It's hard to do change. Your kids have left you, you're stuck. And you see that, so we're going to see more and more older people on in terms of absolute numbers, and then as a percentile basis happening in Russia, okay? Awesome. All right, guys, so that's how I'm going to do it, okay? So we'll go back to our friend Blackboard. Now, what I would have been doing, of course, every step of the way, I would have been going around through here and taking a look at this, okay? Among developed countries, which country had the slowest speed of population aging? Remember that figure that we're looking at? That's where you're going to find out about that, okay? If we come back over here, I think it's right here. So what figure was that? There it is, boom. So we can get that information right there, okay? So we can look at this and then we can go back to this question, we can answer it, okay? Awesome. All right, population declines in more developed countries, to what cause, okay? Is this true? Okay, population declines in more developed countries are primarily due to what cause? All right, People leaving the country? Yes. That happened in Russia. Okay. Low fertility? Where are your kids? Okay. All the above. Okay. So who knows? Take a look at that. Okay. Which country will experience the most striking increase? Okay. So this is how you do it. Just go boom, boom, boom. There's your questions. You kind of look at the reading, maybe watch this lecture ahead of time, and you're good. All right. What's the next thing you got to do? Don't forget every week, man. 3 plus 1. Where is that 3 plus 1? There it is. So you go down here and you go into the discussion, you click on it. All right. You create a thread. Alrighty, and so here I am. This is, the thread. So this is me. I'm gonna say, people call me Doc when I'm surfing. So Doc Walsh says, "Hey, I did this in spring. I'm gonna do it in summer." It's like it's waiting for me. Okay. All right. There you go. Guess what? You're gonna be seeing some lectures. I'm teaching a Maymester with my wife. Okay. I'm sitting here on my pillow. That's why the camera's going all over the place. So I am going to Rica tomorrow. Yeah, it's a Maymaster class, my friends. And so you're going to be watching me do some of these lectures from Costa Rica. Sign up next year, guys. It's awesome, right? That's it. Okay, so that's what I would do. And then I hit submit. Okay, boom. And there it is. There's my first thing. And then you click right here, okay, and you make a reply. Wow, I want to go with you. Okay, we're 3 times. All right, that's how that works. Awesome. Now, just to let you know, okay, since this is a summer class, if you're a gunner, you can move way ahead. Okay, all right. So I'm going to come over here. I'll just go back into the course central, and you come over here. Remember our taskbar. Remember our weekly assignments. Okay, you come in here, and guess what? We roll them out during the regular semester, but we know a lot of you guys need to get on your game. So you can go anywhere in this class. For example, go down here to diabetes. My lecture is going to be coming, okay? But if you want to read ahead and figure things out, okay, and scroll down here, take the quiz, do the discussion, more power to you, all right? You can do it all right now. Check it out. It's LeBron and Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes, okay? So, yeah. So you feel free to go ahead and get on it if that's what you want to do. Okay, guys? All right. I think that's it. Email me if you have any questions. Julie is the course administrator. You got any problems? Don't wait. Don't wait for problems to happen. Get into our heads so we can help you out if you're having any problems. Okay? Does that make sense, guys? Awesome. All right. So I'm going to say peace, and we'll see you next time.